Here's a great idea for your next outing. A cruise of the L.A. Harbor on a Spirit Cruises yacht. Spirit Cruises offers everything you need to relax and enjoy your time on the water. For more information, call 310-548-8080 or visit spiritmarine.com.
Time now for another Thrashpie Radio podcast. This is where I, Thrashpie, your favorite guy, get to celebrate the pure rock years of Southern California's heavy metal flagship, KNAC-FM. Most of these pods, I get to talk to a lot of the guys who were certainly on the air or were the program directors and that kind of thing. And it's a pretty male-dominated business. There's no kidding about it. It is a male-dominated business, particularly from the people who, were the public face of the station. Now, except for, God bless it, Ton Mastery, who we lost some years ago. And there will be special podcasts around Ton's time at the radio station. But what we had behind the scenes and who were really the backbone of the pure rock existence were some great, strong women who ran things on a daily basis and who worked very, very hard at keeping that entire station afloat. They did all the bookwork. They did, they did, a monstrous job in keeping us going there. And they had just as much interest in the music and the whole image of the entire radio station as anybody in the audience or certainly any of us on the air. And there is no one, in my mind, no one strong, pure rockin' woman who personifies that any more than Veronica Wheeler.
I actually heard from my girlfriend, Stacy McDonald. She called me one day because we used to go to all the clubs. And she's like, oh, my God, they're playing AC/DC on some station in Long Beach. You got to listen. So we both started listening to the station. She got a shift as a phone fox. And I don't know, a couple weeks, a month later, I got a shift as a phone fox. So I did that for, I want to say about a month or so. And they were hiring for the receptionist position. So I got hired to be the receptionist, did that for like a year, and then I was Gary's assistant for maybe 2 years, maybe 3, I can't remember really. There were so many positions. Then I worked with the sales staff, the sales assistant, and then promotions coordinator, and started doing trade, and that was the most fun job because I got to do trade for clients with like Hawaiian Airlines, to take clients on Hawaii trips and different things like that, and we took bands down to Mexico, and we traded everything.
That's how you got that big Mexico trip together.
Yep.
You did that.
Yep, in Cabo. Yep.
That's awesome. I had no idea all of that happened, that you were the pivot man in all that stuff. I was going to ask you, how many different jobs did you have, and you just went right into it. I talked to Jen Brooks, Jen Tucker now, Jen Brooks Tucker, and she did just exactly the same thing you did, is she started rattling off the jobs she had. She said, I did this, and then I did this, and then, she remembered a couple that she probably hadn't thought about.
I know. Like I said, I had to write it down because it was like every 2 years moving around. Literally, I was in the right place at the right time to get a job as receptionist at your favorite radio station. I knew all the music. I'd been going to the clubs to see Motley Crue and GNR and Poison and all those bands for a couple of years. Well,
so how did the whole phone fox thing come about? Who did you talk to become a phone fox?
I interviewed with Kevin Stevens.
Oh, wow, of course.
Yeah. So he hired my girlfriend, Stacy. She was like overnights, and then I got hired like after work or something and just started doing that. And I think I was there maybe 2-3 weeks before they posted that sign for receptionist. So
it was a pretty volatile time in the whole... after the launch, a lot of people were leaving. They were just couldn't handle it. They thought
it was crazy.
The next thing that I remember was that you were in charge of the phone foxes. Is that right?
Yes, actually, Kevin Stevens is the one that started, hiring everyone. And then when he left, everyone was doing so many different jobs. There really was no one to kind of coordinate people going to the events and helping out at all, because we were doing so many promotions. Like every single week we were doing something, either a grand opening or a concert or whatever it was. So I just told Gary, I'll take over if you want.
Atta girl. Yep.
From there.
What did you have them do? That's 'cause they were all organized in terms of getting here and getting there. But when they answered the phones, were they taking some kind of research questions, or what did they do with all that information?
We didn't usually do a lot of research. They basically took down requests for the jocks, and if we were giving away tickets, they obviously would help with that when the callers called in, if it was caller number 10 or whatever. But mainly the requests, and they were kind of the liaison to the jocks and giving them information.
Right.
For when they were on the air.
I remember talking to Ross, when he was music director, and they used those request sheets. They studied them. They really did. So that was a very important job, whether you guys knew it or not.
Yeah, you really didn't count that as research, but you're right. We did keep track of a lot of that.
Yeah, that's how they figured what to add. They knew they were listening to the very core of the audience, but they took that information very seriously. So, the kids that think they were just in there goofing around, no. It was very important work that they were doing there.
And they loved it.
Oh my gosh.
They would do it for free anytime and show up anywhere you need it. I mean, they were just extremely dedicated.
Well, I think that there needs to be something specifically done about them in any documentary film that's done, because they were, such a large part of it. They seemed to be fairly enclosed little group. They were all tight, and they all hung together, and they all did stuff away from the station, aside from the promotions and everything. There was us on the air, then there was everybody in the building who hung out together, but they were kind of a separate little unit. They were like a, guerrilla warfare group. They were special forces, sort of.
Absolutely, especially at the events, because we would get bombarded with requests for bumper stickers everywhere you went, in the van, anywhere. They were helping with everything. So I think it's important to recognize, especially since we had so many. Our staff at any given time, I think we had probably 20 to 30 people at least.
Oh, yeah.
And Aisa took over after several years, probably did it so I think I had him for like 6 years, because I was there 8 years altogether.
I know when you were doing that stuff, boy, I'd have to do a Saturday shift every now and then, and you'd have them in the conference room, and it was like, here's how this is going to be. You guys get your asses together right now.
Yeah, well, it's hard. I mean, you're not paying people. I mean, the most they got was concert tickets, or tickets to other events. But honestly, I think they just wanted to be part of something big.
Any great little stories you'd like to tell, or memories you have, and specifically about anything at KNAC? Anything? Oh,
some of the first times in the early days when we used to have a lot of the bands come in. The first time I met Nikki Sixx was right after. I had the biggest crush on him ever. Like, it was crazy. He came in with Tommy Lee. Tommy Lee was in the kitchen, and he was showing off his tattoo on the side of his leg, so he literally pulled down his pants most of the way. And one of the girls got a picture. We must have made 100 copies of that picture. Yeah, I still have a copy if you want one.
Oh, I'm sure. I'd love to have a copy of Tommy Lee's butt.
I'll send it over to you. Yeah. Yeah, no, it was great.
Yeah, it was great. You could always count on old Tommy to drop trow anywhere. That's him, not only on stage. He was in the kitchen at KNAC there, the Jock Lounge. Right next to the microwave, they got a nice picture of Tommy's butt and his new tattoo. Veronica Ibarra, at the time her maiden name is Ibarra, her name now is Wheeler. She's she's a grown-up gal now, and on to great success. I want to say she's with Metro in sales. I believe that's it. She has been wildly successful since the KNAC days, and it all started with her becoming a KNAC phone fox. Just a tremendous, one of our tremendous strong women that pretty much ran KNAC. And just for fun, what I've done is I've strung together the jobs, plural, that Veronica had, and if I count correctly, let's see what it is.
I got a shift as a phone fox. I got hired to be the receptionist. I was Gary's assistant. Then I worked with the sales staff, and then promotions coordinator, started doing trade.
All right, so that's it. So there's 6. It ended up with her doing trade. So she was the one that put together those Cabo trips where everybody get together and raise hell in Mexico for a couple of days. Now, in addition, not to be outdone, our friend Jennifer Brooks at the time, now Jennifer Tucker, also very successful with very meager beginnings. First of all, she was at Cal State Long Beach as well. and was an intern there, and then got a job at KNAC, and she worked with the, in the finance end of it. It was something like that. I can't recall, to be quite exact. But she told the great story about Klaus Meine calling up when she, in one of her jobs, was filling in for the receptionist at the front, so the receptionist could actually go get a sandwich across the street. And Klaus Meine calls and says, "I want to talk to Thrasha." And she did this wonderful accent for us. Jen also had a number of jobs.
I started as a sales assistant. Then I was an accounting assistant with Denise Reese. And then I became the accounts manager. In that role, I was backup traffic. And then I also got added on public service director and publicity director.
Oh, my God.
And that's when, I was like the backup talk show producer for Mike and walked, Spinal Tap into the booth.
Well, there's a perk. You get to walk Spinal Tap anywhere. That's a perk. But so I counted 7 for Jen, 6 for Veronica. There's 2 women, 13 jobs. 13 jobs. And probably 4 or 5 of those jobs all happening at the same time. So not to be outdone, and in terms of those 2 women, we had wonderful, strong women who ran the place. They were the backbone of the whole place. Anne-Marie Blood, who is now Anne-Marie Blood Brunel. Julie Thorne, who still looks 18, and I hate her guts for that. Michelle Kaysen. Her married name escapes me at the moment. She's a businesswoman in her own right up in Central California. Tina Herrera, I hear from, but I've lost track of what she's doing. Denise Reese, also one of the wild women of KNAC. She was a rocker. Great love person. Lovely gal. Jen Brooks there now, as she is, Jen Brooks Tucker. She is a mucky muck at Legendary Television, which is a new division of Legendary Pictures, which you probably see their big logo in front of a lot of the movies when you go to the theater there. Not to be outdone, Aisa Juarez, she was the receptionist, for years. She used to, God bless her, talk to my mom for 20 minutes to an hour, and I know that just drove her nuts. She was probably ready to go kill herself after that. But she spoke to my mom lovingly for, off and on for years. And Aisa is one of the premier promotion directors in radio in this country today. She's at KROQ right here in Los Angeles. She's been there for, 10, 15 years. I don't know how long. But, she's the shit, brother. She really is. She's got that going on. So never let it be said that our KNAC Pure Rock women, they had it going on. We had a bunch of good, strong women who were the backbone of that radio station. And God bless them, they're all still rockers. Right, Veronica?
I still take my kids to the rock and roll shows.
That a girl.
Absolutely. Kiss, Def Leppard.
Yeah. Oh.
My 3 boys know all of the music. All of it.
That's incredible, isn't it?
Yep.
See? So there we are. And in fact, she was at Irvine Meadows, which we've just lost here recently, a summer ago when most of the KNAC staff, that is air staff, assembled down at Irvine Meadows, went on stage at the Cat House thing, and God bless them, Veronica, Julie, and a number of them were out there in the audience, and we have those pictures, to prove that we were there. All right. Many thanks to everyone who participates in this. In the Thrashpie Radio podcast. I'll have more insight into the pure rock years of KNAC-FM in the very near future, in a future podcast and so forth. In the meantime, your comments and correspondence of any kind are welcome at thrashpieradio@gmail.com. Give us a like and a share. Keep your eye on your Facebook page for the next Thrashpie Radio podcast.